Welcome back. I'm here with NDSU Extension Crops Economist and Marketing Specialist, Frayne Olson. So Frayne, it's been a couple of months since we've spoken to you last, and in the recent weeks, we've seen quite a dip in the wheat markets. Do you want to go ahead and tell me a little bit what the driving forces are behind that?
Yeah, so just as a reminder, at the end of February, we had Russia invade Ukraine. That was a huge change, in particular for the wheat markets. We saw this great big rally as we started trying to figure out exactly what this meant for global wheat prices. And then you add on top of that some very delayed spring wheat planting in this region, as well as going into the Canadian prairie provinces. And so all of this, this information kind of built. We had a risk premium that entered into the marketplace. And now some of that risk premium is being taken out. So we were getting a little bit more information about how many acres have been planted here in the Northern Plains for spring wheat in Durham, as well as what's happened in the Canadian prairie provinces. Looks like we got a lot of our acres seeded. Still some uncertainty, obviously, about what kind of yield and yield potential that would be. We're also starting to take some of the risk premium out because we're starting to look at alternative flows of grain. The Russian wheat crop looks very good. They're going to have a very large crop this year. Actually, some are projecting a record large Russian wheat crop. The Russians are also trying to figure out alternative supply chain systems. And some of that grain is now starting to move not only from last year, but also some of their new crop. We haven't, in my opinion, reached quite the bottom yet. I think we'll see a little bit more of that risk premium taken out. But moving forward, I do think we'll start to see some additional volatility. What we'll probably see is a trading range start to develop. And within that trading range, we're going to see a lot of volatility over the next several months as we try and figure out, again, exactly how many bushels do we have to work with and where are those bushels being produced and available.
So with the volatility in the marketplace right now, what is some advice that you would give producers that haven't sold a lot of their acres so far?
So my recommendation is you're not fast enough, as a farmer, fast enough to catch the market. You're not fast enough to chase it. So my recommendation is that for those farmers that sit down, put together your marketing plan, look at what your cost of production is, because that's changed significantly over the last several months. And put in some pricing targets. At what price would you be willing to sell some additional grain? And figure out what those price levels are. Work with your local elevator, work with a processor or a broker, and say, well, let's put those orders in ahead of time. So let's let the market come to you rather than you trying to chase the market. And so that, historically, that strategy, in particular when we get into these times of exceptional volatility, tends to work relatively well. It gives you the peace of mind to say, well, the orders have already been placed. We'll just watch what's happening and make sure that those orders get filled and we're able to supply the product.
So the region had a very late planting season this year. How did that impact the markets currently, and how do you think that is going to forecast the later summer months, such as August?
Late July, early August timeframe, when we get into the pollination for corn, as well as flowering and pod set for soybeans, the markets are going to be watching that very, very closely. Our margin for error on all of the major commodities is relatively tight this year. We don't have a lot of extra inventory if we do have some production issues. So I do expect to see a lot of volatility as we get into those key reproductive phases for in particular soybeans and corn, which will then spill over into the wheat markets as well. So hang on, I don't think the volatility is over yet.
Frayne Olson with NDSU Extension, thank you for your insight today. Thanks for watching AgWeek TV on YouTube. Make sure to like and subscribe. We put out new videos every Saturday.